No.
Look at this room filling up.
Hey, everyone.
How's that second day of work, Matt?
Good. Got all the training and the paperwork behind me, I think. So,
For you.
yeah, it's been a long time since I've had to deal with all that stuff.
Uh-oh, my printout of the script came out funny. I'm gonna have to read it off the screen.
And I got a pop-up. It says, "Stay centered with auto framing." You can turn
It's
this
working
on
now.
to keep you in view by adjusting your camera as you move.
I don't know if I want that, but I don't have to do this to be in the camera like I did this afternoon. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was a Google Meet thing versus Zoom. I don't know what that was. Anyway, let me see if I can pull up.
What was the camera trying to follow you as you?
No, it was, I had it lined up just like I have it here, but then I was barely on the screen. And I had to turn it at like a 30-degree angle for me to be in the middle of the screen. It was very weird.
It is weird.
Did you have to turn it right or left?
It depends. I had to turn, push away my left, bring my right closer. You tell me what that means.
It's something bad.
Oh, is it? My printer is not printing well. We gotta change some cartridges. The script came out well, that's good, but the open the meeting script didn't.
Hi, this is HCAM. We're all set to send you out.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4. Do you want me to go or do you want to wait for Jim?
You can go ahead and get that reading done. Hopefully Jim will jump on in the meantime.
Here we go. This is the September 23rd, 2025 open meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission being conducted remotely consistent with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. The new law authorizes all members of the public body to continue participating in meetings remotely. The open meeting law's requirement that a quorum of the body and the chair be physically present at the meeting location remains suspended. For this meeting, the Hopkinton Conservation Commission is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the town's web meeting calendar and the Conservation Commission agenda, identifying how the public may join. Additionally, the meeting may also be broadcast by HCAM through one or many of its channels or platforms. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please also keep yourself on mute unless and until called on by the chair. Supporting materials that have been provided to members of the commission for this meeting are available on the town's website. This meeting will feature public comment. After commission members and staff have discussed each project application on the agenda, the chair will open the discussion to public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak are asked to identify their name and address. 3 minutes will be afforded for each public comment. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted via roll call of the members. I will now confirm which commission members are present. Chair Melissa Ricas.
Present.
Ed Harrow.
Present.
Matt Moyen.
Present.
Jim Cirillo. I can no longer see the screen. No. Ted Barker Hook is present. That's me. I will now confirm staff that are present. Judy Day, the Hopkinton Conservation Administrator.
Present.
Anna Rogers, Environmental and Inspectional Services Coordinator.
Present.
And Joe Orzel of Lucas Environmental. Have we know Joe?
Present. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Okay, before I pass things on to Melissa, I just want to let everyone know that we have several hearings continued today. If you are here for those hearings, you are certainly welcome to stick around and hear what else we're doing, but we will not be discussing tonight the following. 8589 West Main Street, that's the Starbucks parking lot, has been continued to October 21st. Wall Street Development, both hearings at 12 North Mill Street have been continued to October 7th. The Hopkinton Trails Committee, Chamberlain Street Loop Road, continued to October 7. 47 Oakhurst Road, continued to October 7. And in the work session items, the Legacy Farm North request for COC also continued to October 7th. That's it. It's all you, Melissa.
All right, thanks, Ted. All right, being that it's just after 7, let's start with the few work session items.
Melissa, Jim's here.
Oh, hey, Jim. Glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. We're difficulty signing in.
Yeah. All right. So we talked in the last meeting. Carrie was on requesting our support for the Ice House Pond improvement application to CPC for funds to put together some concepts for the parking lot over there. So Judy drafted up a letter of support. I took a look at it, gave a few comments, and Judy updated it and reposted it probably around 4 or something like that this afternoon. I don't know if everybody else got a chance to look at it, has any comments, or needs more time. Let me know. What do you think?
I didn't read it, but I have full faith and confidence in you guys to send it.
Okay.
Yeah, I read through it, Melissa. It looks good.
Okay. All right.
I
Then,
didn't read it, but I approve whatever you said.
thanks. Thanks, Ed. I think, Judy, you can go ahead and take the draft off and give it a date and send it over. I'll sign it on the commission's behalf.
Great, will do.
Thank you for pulling that together. All right, next up we have draft minutes for review. So we have our February 11th minutes, and then we also have our September 2nd from our executive session. Did anyone have any comments on those or not have enough time to review them?
I made a comment and I believe it's been recorded. My initial report was pretty helter-skelter because I was off on my morning walk with the dog and trying to multitask, which of course we know we don't do very well.
Dangerous, Ed.
I was only walking.
So, do you need more time, Ed, or are you
No.
You're-
It got caught and fixed and it's all
Okay.
set.
okay? All right. Okay, with that being said, then can I get a motion to approve both of these sets of minutes?
I'll make that motion.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
and Jim.
All right.
Great.
And Melissa.
Oh, and I am also an aye. Thanks, Ted.
Sure. Let's make it unanimous.
All right, so Legacy Farms North continued, so we're on to 42 Greenwood Road, request for certificate of compliance. Judy, you want to go ahead and give us a rundown on the status of this and current recommendation?
Sure, through the chair. So this was an order of conditions issued in 2023 for the construction of a tennis court. Let me pull up the site plans for you. So construction of a tennis court in the buffer zone 2, bordering vegetated wetlands. The approved plans included 135 shrub plantings in this area between the wetlands and the tennis court. in addition to the construction of the court itself. Joe's review had a few fairly minor comments, including erosion controls can be removed. He noted little invasive vegetation in the area of the shrubs. And a minor edit needed to be made on Form 8A. And then sort of the more outstanding comment was the lack of direct shrub plantings in this planting area. Joe's memo stated that the homeowner said Kim had given him permission to just use seed mix in this area rather than plantings, but we did not see any written documentation of that agreement. So I think at this point, according to the approved plans, the work does not appear to be in compliance because we're missing a very significant amount of restoration planting. That was a large part of approving the tennis court and impervious surface going in at the site. I haven't been out to verify that the erosion controls have been removed yet, but was waiting for guidance on the commission on whether, you would like to see these plantings in addition to the seed mix that had already been applied.
Yep.
So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Judy.
Yep.
Joe, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Judy covered it pretty well. Like she said, the shrubs were not there, but based on my conversation with the property owner, he said that Kim had come out and talked to him about that, and due to the unavailability of shrubs, did tell him that the meadow seeding would be sufficient, the wildflower seeding. But I think Judy pretty much covered all of my comments.
Okay. Do we have the homeowner on the
Through the chair,
line?
may I ask a quick clarifying question from Judy?
Yes, Ted.
Or Joe, or both? When you say in this area, the shrubs have not been planted in this area, do you mean both? It looks like there's a wall or something that separates two areas. Do you mean all of those shrub area or just a piece of that?
The entire shrub area. There are no shrub. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yep. Mhm.
Do we have a homeowner on the call? If so, speak. Yeah.
Through the chair,
Okay.
this is Ed, while we're kind of waiting.
Yes, Ed.
Who came out and said that the seed mix was okay?
I was told that was Kim, Chair Mickley. Kim.
Okay. I
Through the
heard
chair.
Ken, sorry.
Yes, Judy.
Yep, so that's what the homeowner reported to us as well. We did reach out to Kim, who said she had no memory of saying that. So, I think it's unfortunate that we don't have any written documentation of it. So I think it's up to you all what you'd like to see here, regardless of what conversation may have been had.
Yep. Okay. My thoughts on this would be that the requirement was to plant shrubs, so we need to see the shrubs planted in order to close out the COC. I don't think we can operate in it. It's not typical that we do just on verbal changes, and that's something that I believe an agent would typically bring back to the board for discussion. So my thought is that the homeowner needs to plant the shrubs as called for and remove those erosion controls before we can entertain issuing a certificate of compliance. But if anyone has any other thoughts, I'm happy to hear them.
Sure, through the chair.
Yep, go ahead, Ted.
I fully agree with you. I am pretty sure that I ultimately voted in favor of this project, but it was with a lot of hesitation, and I'm sure part of what convinced me to vote in favor was the extent of the plantings on the rest of the property. So I firmly believe we need to hold the applicant to that before issuing a COC.
And through the chair, this is Ed. I echo what Ted said.
Okay. So yeah, Judy, if you don't mind relaying that to the homeowner, and if they have any questions or want to come in to talk about it, they can, but um other than that, I think we have to wait or deny the request at this point in time. I don't think we need to vote on that, right? Or yeah,
Through the
they're not
chair,
formally here.
may I
Yes,
ask
Ted.
another question? As I'm looking at the plan, I'm remembering one other aspect of this project, and that was that to get access to the backyard, they had to go through, was it Halt Land? Who controlled the neighbor? Was there a discussion or an expectation that would stay access way through Halt Land, or was that to be returned to a natural state? I don't have a memory what was decided about that land once construction was done.
Yeah, through the chair, we do have a letter from Halt allowing them to use the easement for access to the rear of the property. So
Continued
doing that.
beyond just the construction.
Yes. I mean, I think there's also some conditions. So notification of when the easement will be used, barriers to be erected around neighboring trees. That I don't know if these have been met. But it does appear that access is allowed, at least for heavy vehicle and equipment transfer.
I wonder if, since we are not approving the COC right now, and you'll be reaching out to the applicant, I wonder if those things ought to be checked out. And maybe it involves getting in touch with Halt to see if they're happy with how the agreement's going.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Ted. I think it's a little blurry on whether that's to be left in place. It says proposed, but it doesn't say temporary. It says proposed 10-foot wide gravel access way. It doesn't say temporary, but that letter just kind of refers to getting the equipment back to build the court. So, yeah, if you could just clarify, Judy, so everybody's on the same page, that'd be great.
Will do.
Okay. Anyone from the audience have anything on this one? Nope. Okay. Being that it's 7:15, let's move up to the new hearings. Ted, would you mind reading this?
Not at
Application.
all. The Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 at 7 p.m. virtually online to hear all persons interested in a notice of intent filed by David Harris to replace a septic system with associated site work. Location 2 Curtis Road, Assessor's Map U13, Block 36, Lot 0.
Thanks, Ted.
You're welcome.
Do we have the applicant or someone representing the applicant on the line to tell us about the project?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Joe.
Mark, good evening. Members of the Harris family are on the call as well. I thought I would lead off and start the discussion rolling, and then we can dive into any topics the commission feels they need a little more info on. This is the Harris home at number 2 Curtis Road, which you all know is right opposite the front door to Western Nurseries. They are the first house on the right, number 2, 11,500 square foot lot from 1951. The home that you see here in the center, circa 1955. Existing garage in the back, a Pitcont walk to the north side. The rest of the lot is almost entirely, save the front walkway, it's almost entirely lawn. Having been involved a few years ago with Across the Street, very early on, we asked Scott Heim to review the site and delineate any wetlands he saw. That's the area in green against the rear boundary line. Flags 1 through 6, Scott established there. So as you spool it out, your 100-foot buffer is very near Curtis Road, which is against the right-hand side of the page. So with that info, it seemed highly unlikely we would get a replacement septic system in the back, even though the piping leads to a small tank, size unknown at the rear. I just didn't feel there was enough room for a septic system. So like many of the homes on Curtis Road, we have moved to locating the system in the front. So the existing tank will be demolished in compliance with the local Board of Health regulation. We'll install a new tank off the southwest corner, the left rear corner of the house, and then pipe over to 2 leach fields, one inside the buffer zone and one partially in, mostly out. The site grading will then take place in the side and the front yard as opposed to the rear, closer to the resource area. We do have a line of erosion controls from the bulkhead, allowing us some room to demolish that tank over to the southerly boundary line, then along the boundary line towards the street, a line of silt fence and wattles. So it's quite frankly the best we can do on such a small lot. All our work is, the goal has been to push it further from the resource area. We are just limited with the configuration of the boundary lines.
Okay. Thank you. That looks pretty straightforward. Joe, I know you looked at this. Can you give us just a high-level overview of comments?
Sure. So with respect to the delineation, I thought the delineation looked fine. One of the flags was missing, but based on the other flags, I thought it was generally looked appropriate. I did note that on a previous review of the adjacent lot at 4 Curtis, I had noted that there was some hydric soil quite a ways up gradient in the lawn area of one of the flags on the adjacent lot, which I took a look at just to see roughly where that might put the buffer zone. And I think any of the proposed work would still be beyond 50, or any of the proposed stuff would still be beyond 50 feet from where that hydric soil was located. Although in looking at it most recently, I did not see hydric soil right up gradient of flag number 1, which was the general location of where that other offsite flag was. So I think there's probably a break in soils here where it's non-hydric and then it may become hydric. And I had speculated on the previous filing for the adjacent lot that it's possible that hydric soil might have been related to a failed septic system right in that general area. So I think the delineation as it's shown in there is okay. And even if hydric soil is more extensive, I think we're still outside far enough away with the proposed work. I didn't see any other wetlands that within 100 feet other than those delineated. Some of the items on the form had not been checked, but I think that those have been corrected. I think the PIB markers have been added. And I think that actually takes care of all my comments. I don't have anything outstanding at this point.
Okay. I do have a question about so there's the 3 PIB locations that are shown as proposed on the plan. To Joe Marquardt or the homeowner, the intent of those, because they look like they are in the lawn area, is the intent to not mow anymore beyond where those medallions are being placed? Can you talk about that for a minute?
Sure. What we did was we took the plan, the commission reviewed at number 4 from 2022 and placed the PIB, the most southerly near the boundary line, about the same location as that, figuring that it must have been a thoughtful decision by the commission to place it there. So then it was more or less a straight line along the parallel with the back of the home. The idea would be to maintain lawn up to those, and then beyond that, let that go natural. There's a very aggressive knotweed and invasive species out there that we kind of didn't want to see take over the entire backyard. So I guess in answer long-winded to your question, the idea is to be similar to next door and allow that area west of those to go back to natural, but we didn't want to see it become the bittersweet, the wild grape, and the knotweed that is further west.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were understanding that the line means no maintenance past that, so that's good. I don't think I have any other questions or comments. It looks pretty. Does anyone else on the commission have thoughts on this?
I just have a really small question.
Yep.
Joe, I assume access to the shed way at the back of the property is by the crushed stone, and that the PIBs aren't going to make access difficult if that's all allowed to grow up?
I believe the doors are on that side, yes.
Okay. That's it. That's all I had.
Does
And
anyone?
I guess I'll say I appreciate you putting in the PIBs without asking, because that would have been a discussion. So thank you.
Yep. I agree with that, Ted. Anyone from the audience have any questions or comments? And I should ask Judy if you had any words to add.
Through the chair, nope, I have no comments. Just that DEP has issued a file number with no comments either. So if you are leaning in the direction of issuing an order, there's no issues with DEP.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think all the homework was done on this one, so I think we can go ahead and vote if someone wants to make a motion to approve this with signatures by Anna or Judy. Can I get a
You need a
motion?
motion?
Yes, I do.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
All right.
and I am also an aye. So thank you for making that easy for us.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right.
Good night.
Good luck. All right, next up we have 38 Downey Street, continuation on a notice of intent for a dock.
Hey guys, Matt Morrow here representing Al Needham, who is also present this evening.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. If I could share my screen.
That's okay with me, Judy, if you want to turn that over.
Give you permission. All right, should be all set.
So can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
All right, so Judy, you should have this in your email. Before I get started, my name is Matt Morrow, Morrow Environmental Consulting. I am a professional wetland scientist, and a certified stormwater inspector, certified by EPA. Just wanted to go over the changes that I spoke with the commission about the last time I was here. Just a couple things before we start. If you happen to see my face in the camera and I keep doing this with my glasses, Please forgive me. I'm at that stage of life where I can see the computer screen just fine without the glasses. Everything else I have to put them on for. So if I start referring to notes, please excuse me. Second thing is, with all the, some of the changes I had made here, I just wanted to say thank you to the town staff and to Joe Orzel as well. I really appreciate all the help that you guys have been in guiding me through these changes. So I wanted to say thank you for that. So when we last left off to go over this issue again, the original notice of intent that we were applying for was a 16-foot long by 4-foot wide dock. The dock is one of those that you just simply, it's not fastened to the side. You just insert it into the water. It goes in different pieces. They would be 2 sections, 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. They would be placed in during the good season. If you have a storm, the front section can be lifted up to help, protect it. And then when the season is over for the, the cooler weather and drawdown, if any is done, it simply would just, again, be pulled out by hand. So it's a temporary structure. It is not like a permanent dock. It will be taken in at the end of the season. It will be taken back out when the season is over. Some of the changes that we made to the plan during the course of my filing of the notice of intent and review of the record, we had discovered a previous plan that GLM had placed showing in green a wetland line here. This is the exact line that Joyce Hastings had put in. I did call to try to obtain information about it, but she didn't have anything. It was too old. And she basically recalled kind of like just off the top of bank, as she put it, which would be this boulder retaining wall that exists on site. When we went there, the wetland was basically gone. The previous owner pulled out any trees that were there, basically pulled out the wetland and planted grass. That was noted in the certificate of compliance inspection report, but for some reason, maybe it was missed, the commission issued the certificate. So because the commission issued the certificate, from a legal standpoint, you could argue that the wetland basically no longer exists, that you guys basically okayed it being removed. I talked this over with my client, knowing that after talking with Judy and Judy's predecessor, Kim, that the commission likes to have plantings done. So we came in with potential replication areas that I sketched onto the plan as a potential. You guys asked for a little bit more detail, like an outline of where the plantings would go and what the plantings would consist of. There were other corrections that Joe had noted to the plan, like in between this meeting and the last meeting, the new flood maps came out and it showed a new floodplain here. The floodplain is reflected in red on the plan. There is a 50-foot BLSF buffer zone and the regular 50-foot buffer zone, which you guys had, wasn't on the previous plan. You guys had asked to have it added. Here's the 100-foot buffer zone from the top of bank, and the BLSF 100-foot buffer zone has been added to the plan as well. 100-year flood elevation is a 350.5. It is noted as bordering land subject to flooding or BLSF. So we have 2 areas that we are looking to establish plantings in. The total wetland that was calculated in this area based on the previous engineered drawings was 560 square feet. So what we're looking to do is, on one end, we're looking to do 200 square feet. On another end, we're looking to do 360 square feet. There is an erosion control barrier that would be placed around it while it is planted. It would be planted, I actually, in my original replication narrative, left in the term excavated for some reason. Every time I do replication, I think excavation. This doesn't really need to have any heavy equipment. The existing loom area can be stripped out by hand with a landscape company or by the owner, depending on how ambitious Alex is feeling at the time. That can be removed. We can add any PD loam that we could purchase, throw in a seed mix from New England wetland plants, which he noted that Joe in his review wanted to caution against cultivars. The particular mix I use, I'm just going to switch tabs here. I don't know if you guys can see the tab switch.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the actual typical wetland seed mix that is on the replication plan that I submitted to Judy. That is done through New England Wetland Plants. They do not use, these are native seeds. They do not use cultivar seeds in their mix. So there will not be any cultivars in this. I have recommended a planting of about 21 shrubs. They would be high bush blueberry, winterberry, and meadowsweet. Everything would be planted in basically equal amounts. So you're talking about like 7 or 8 of each. They would be planted throughout that section. It would allow for the wetland to reestablish. There wouldn't be so many shrubs planted in a small area that it would actually block out the growth of your herbaceous layer that would be reestablished. There's good water flow going back to the site here from the existing house. So it has plenty of water source to feed it from overland flow. It would be supervised. There's a 2-year timetable. So it would start if the commission approves it. Like as soon as an appeal period would expire, we could start working on the plantings. It would be a 2-year monitoring with reports to the commission twice a year during like the end of June during the start of the growing season, and then in October at the end of the growing season. The dock, and I'm going to kind of switch this over. I believe it was Joe also noted that there was not a profile submitted. So I did a rendering here. So essentially the dock would be placed in the water. It wouldn't be anchored. It wouldn't be anchored on the bottom. It would just be placed in the water itself. It would be 2 sections long, 2 8-foot long by 4-foot wide sections for a total of 16 feet. A Chapter 91 waterways license would be sought after an order of conditions was approved. I've spoken about that to the Chapter 91 people. They're fine with that approach. They don't mind. Matter of fact, they seem to lately, I've noticed on other filings in other venues, have asked applicants whether or not a commission has already approved it. So they're actually looking for approvals now a little bit faster than they normally have been, at least from what I'm seeing out there. Let's see what else. I'm going to minimize this screen. Here's a photo. Can you see the photo?
No.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop the screen share and then I'll just go to the photo. Thank you for bearing with me. Computers can be real funny. Some computers it'll work, some it won't. Okay, this is a photograph of a typical 4-foot long by 8-foot wide aluminum dock. You can see here that a section can lift up. That would be used for safety during non-use and storm events during the season. If the storm event is going to be too heavy, just like in the off season, when the boating season is over, it can be lifted out by hand. It's nothing that's permanently affixed. So that's basically it for the updates. I can go over anything else that you guys need to go over. Comments, questions, smoke signals, whatever you guys want.
No, thank you for that information on the dock. Because I think that's a piece we're missing. That looks like the dock that they have over at Sandy Beach. If anybody's been over there, the new one that they put in. Joe, before I go any further, I guess I'll ask if you have any thoughts, comments. I'm guessing this is the first time you're seeing this plan that addresses some of your comments.
Correct. I think a lot of my comments were addressed. Couple maybe outstanding, or maybe possibly I missed. I know I had noted that the narrative that was previously submitted had described that the wetland delineation had been reconfirmed. Typically, if the delineation confirmation is done in the field, we like to see some data sheets with that, just to show what was looked at, what was found. I didn't see any data sheets with what was submitted. with respect to the comment on the COC possibly being issued, possibly being interpreted as there not being a DBW present anymore. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. The COC is looking at conditions based on what was approved. And not necessarily the current conditions. There can be changes in what was previously delineated and what would exist now. So I would think that any wetland that exists now, if it's present, would be valid and not the COC wouldn't make that go away. The FEMA firm, the new elevation has been included. I didn't notice were there PIBs on the new plan. I might have missed that if there were any PIBs proposed. I think I would say the commission to discuss whether or not the planting areas as proposed are in keeping with the general desire of the commission to have the naturalized area being occurring along the waterfront, along the bank. Something for the commission to discuss. As far as the wetland plant, or as far as the planting proposal, I think the plants are fine. And I think it was mentioned that there would be no soil excavation required, so I think that comment goes away. We just recommend that if any soil disturbance at all is proposed, that then I would recommend a erosion control barrier. But if there is no digging required or soil excavation, then we probably don't need one. And I think that pretty much covers any remaining questions that I have.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, so with respect to the certificate of compliance, and don't get me wrong, I adore Joe Orzel. I have a great deal of respect for him. In this case, I have to disagree with his interpretation. The certificate of compliance is issued. If there's any changes noted that the commission is made aware of, and it decides to issue the certificate, then it is approving those changes as a matter of fact in law. In this case, it was actually Joe that wrote the report alerting you guys to the fact that the wetland was removed. That's in your file. That's where I got that information from, was your file. So when you guys approved it, I'm not saying you guys, I don't know who was on the commission back then. It was like, I don't know, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. You guys approved it with a report filed saying that the wetland was basically removed. Speaking to my client, he wants to make sure that this is right. The certificate of compliance being issued was a condition upon him being able to close on the house. I'm not going to guess as to what happened. It's really not my place to do so. Things happen all the time. I mean, I know I'm a conservation commissioner and a former full-time agent myself. So I know that, stuff happens. Believe me, I've been part of it. So it's not like, anyone is like trying to say, oh, well, this shouldn't happen. Or it did. So we're trying to deal with it by saying, okay, this is what happened, guys. We want to put the wetland back. This is what we estimated the square footage. I removed the language from my narrative about, it was a good point that Joe had about verifying the delineation, because what I should have put in was that I verified, or I attempted to verify with Joyce Hastings, what the delineation was. I did have it put on this new plan by the engineer of record that drew this. As far as redelineating, everything is basically, the wetland was taken out. There were trees there that were taken out. Everything's been kind of twisted around and beat up. We just want to basically put it back. That's really all this is about. As far as that certificate of compliance goes, there was other language that Joe noticed, and Joe, all the stuff you pointed out in the narrative on the language discrepancies, I've made sure to clean up. So that's been addressed. But really, that's it. We're just, the whole thing was just supposed to be just a dock. We were supposed to file, and I don't mean that in a way to minimize any impacts to wetlands. Saying the whole original NOI was supposed to be just for the dock, and it's turned into this, unfortunately. So,
Right. Okay. No, I appreciate the thoughts with Joe and Matt. I think similar to an application we looked at last week where we were trying just to repair an existing wall. I think this is a similar case or a similar approach. There was a dock in place at one point in time, and you're proposing through this notice of intent to replace or put a dock back. And along the way, when we have applications, we've been trying to promote as a commission some filtering buffer strip along the lake to improve water quality. So I think for me, that's what this application is about, and what I would want to focus on is, replacing a dock, and is there any, good things we can do in addition to that, which you're proposing, by additional plantings to replace lawn area. I think that for this, as far as whatever the wetland line was at one point in time, whatever it is today, whatever it will be in the future, I'd like to just vote on this or look at this application with the caveat that we are not approving any wetland line. If that's possible, I think it is, unless Joe or Judy tells me otherwise or advises against that. But can we look at
I would stipulate to that, Madam Chair, that we're not approving any wetland. I would stipulate to that.
Yeah.
If anything, this wetland redone would bring up a new wetland line. So when the certificate of compliance would be sought for when this thing is grown in, I would offer to the commission, because it's very easy for the engineer to do. We would take this wetland. I would have Joe examine it. If he agrees that the thing is taken successfully, we will redraw the buffer zones on the submitted certificate of compliance request, showing the limits of the new wetland boundary and its applicable buffer zones. Do you follow me?
I do. The only thing that's tripping me up is I believe Joe had alluded to hydric soils throughout that area in the lawn, and I don't know if we would just approve wetland line around those boxes if there's hydric soils in the lawn and we're kind of ignoring that area. I don't know if you have any thoughts there, Joe. I'd be inclined just not to establish a new wetland line for this particular application.
I
Maybe
would
Sure.
not establish a new line for this application.
Yeah,
And would wait until,
if there's a
Matt
future
as Matt had
development.
mentioned,
Yeah,
if a certificate is requested, then it could include the proposed areas, the proposed restoration areas, if they are successful.
yeah. Does anyone else on the commission have any thoughts, or you, Judy? Anything you wanna talk about?
Through the chair,
Yeah.
I would just add, we got a lot of revised materials late this afternoon, so I haven't been able to send those over to Joe for a closer review. I haven't looked at them too much myself, so it would be nice to have more time and for you all to have more time to digest the new materials provided.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Melissa?
Yes, Ted.
Matt, I just want to say, and to the homeowner who says on the call, I really appreciate offering the plantings without us pushing on that. Just for clarification's sake, are those areas currently lawn or are they something else?
That whole thing is lawn all the way up to the rocks now.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. So I agree with Melissa. I like the plantings. I agree with not drawing a new wetland line. And thank you for offering the replication.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this? Okay, so I think we're gonna ask if it's okay if we can continue this to give the staff and the commission time to review the material that was just submitted in response to Joe's comments and in this plan here. Matt, do you have any other thoughts or questions for us in regard to that wetland line? I mean, I think we're on the same page as far as what we'd like to see happen here.
No, and that's fine. I would just point out that I also looked at the soils in that property. Yeah, there are spots of hydric soils, but again, because everything's been so beat up, it's like everything is scattered around. The soils
Yeah.
are really beat up. There were areas where I wouldn't expect to find deposits of hydric soil where I did. There were areas where I expected to find hydric soil where I didn't. And it looked like it was because there was just so much that was done landscape wise prior to my clients moving in. That's my take on it.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's understood.
Through the chair.
Yes, Judy.
Just wanted to bring up one of Joe's earlier comments, if folks on the commission had thoughts on the like size, shape, position of the planting areas. I know there's been talk about having it stretch across the full bank.
Mm-hmm. I think that, my thought is we'd always like to see a buffer more along horizontal along the shoreline, but again, this is a project that we're replacing a dock and there's not, a new house, increased impervious area, patios, things like that, where we're looking for, matching mitigation areas. So I'm very pleased that there's something being proposed for plantings. Matt, I don't know if you want to speak to how those areas were determined or if it was thought to make them more linear rather than, boxes. That might help the commission understand, but
Well, I mean, there were two things. One, you've got areas that are currently, he meaning Alex, might actually look to do his own ornamental plantings here. But you've got areas here that are currently right now being traversed by foot traffic. So we wanted to keep the replication out of areas where foot traffic, because if we do this like across the whole shoreline, he's got 2 years where he can't even use the shoreline at all because he's got a replication area that needs to grow in. We were putting it in areas where I personally observe, flowage going. There are some like perimeter drain lines that do come out of the house that flow overland that would flow right to these wetland areas or proposed wetland areas. So there are definitely water sources there. And there's definitely overland flow from rain. That's basically where this thing appeared to be from. It looks like the original wetland line actually kind of almost hugs where the new floodplain line is. So, and seeing the new floodplain line, that actually kind of makes sense. That's where my thoughts are.
right.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ted.
I'll again echo that I'm appreciative of the plantings. If there is any room or any thought from the homeowner or from Matt to stretch it along a little more shoreline, I'd really appreciate it, but I'm not going to push very hard because I'm also appreciative of what we have there already. But since part of what we're worried about when we ask for these plantings is lawn runoff, chemical runoff from lawns into the lake, if there could be a little bit more, if it could be reshaped a bit to allow a little bit more protection to the lake, that's what we're asking a lot of other applicants to do. If there is no room for that, okay. But if that could be considered, I'd appreciate at least a consideration of it.
Okay, I will speak to my client about it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. So if no one has anything else, I'll ask for a motion to continue this out to the next hearing.
What is the next date?
Yeah, I'm just checking that. That would be October 7th. Is that
Yep, that's right.
work?
we will make it so.
Okay.
Pardon the Star Trek reference.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And a
I'll
second? All right, all in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I am also an aye. All right, thank you for all your work on this.
No,
Matt?
thank you guys for all your input. I really appreciate it. I know it's a really weird situation, but
It is an odd one, yeah.
I seem to get all the good ones. Anyway, good night, guys.
Good
All
night.
right, good night.
Ed, I hope you see how much space I'm giving you to make motions.
I have noticed that there's an extraordinary lack of.
I am biting my tongue. I don't want to get you angry at me again.
All right, next up we have REC Hopkinton 0 Lumber Street, notice of intent. Do we have a representative on the call for this project to give us an update?
Yep, Tom Schutz from Goddard Consulting is here on behalf of the applicant for the project at Lot 4 on Lumber Street. So we haven't been before you for a while. We were addressing the Lucas comments. We've made several changes to the site plan and also submitted supplemental information as well based on those Lucas comments. Myself, Sophie Esdale, and Joe all went out for a site walk to review the wetland delineation. We ended up moving or changing 8 of the flags on the locus site. That included GCA 2, 3, 5, 5-1, 10, 13, 16, and 20. And that changed the wetland line a bit, also changed the buffer zones a bit. So some revisions had to be made to the site plan to accompany that. We also added the wetland line across Lumber Street as well, which would be casting a buffer zone onto some of the sidewalk extension and the project itself. That was added. The WPA 3 form was changed for some minor revisions based on a Lucas comment. We submitted an invasive species management program, which included the removal of glossy buckthorn, bittersweet, knotweed, and multiflora rose within the limit of work itself. Additionally, we pulled together a tree clearing plan with the total amount of trees that are going to be cleared for the project itself. That's going to be 57 trees. There's not going to be any trees removed within the bordering vegetative wetland. There's 1 tree that's proposed to be removed within the no disturbance zone, 10 trees to be removed within the no build zone, and then 33 trees within the 75 to 100 feet buffer zone. These species include red maple, crabapple, white pine, red oak, white oak, Norway maple, and white ash. And then as mitigation for this, we're going to be proposing 6 red maples, 5 spruce, 7 serviceberries, and 20 creeping junipers, which are all native to the region and are mitigation for the removal of the trees for the proposed building and parking lot. So back to the revisions to our site plan here. Do you mind just pulling up the actual site plan? We had to change the building itself or move the building itself because the changing of GCA 2 through 5 moved the no build buffer zone slightly towards the original location of the building. So we had to move the building itself outside of the no build zone. It currently is now shifted outside of that successfully. It has not changed size. It's still currently 2,400 square feet. The access drive was slightly widened to account for the shifting of the building and then also to account for trash pickup access. We also included PIBs, which are going to be cedar posts with placards around the limit of work, and those are shown as small black dots on this site plan itself. Those are placed around the no build zone on the site itself. There's no change to the amount of disturbance within the buffer zone. We're still at 0 square feet of the no disturb zone. We have about 7,200 square feet within the no build zone, and that's primarily for the infiltration system in the stormwater swale. And then we have about 12,900 or so square feet within the actual buffer zone, 75 to 100 feet. There is some small changes to the no disturb buffer zone offsite for the sidewalk extension, though that increased a little bit. We also received stormwater comments and we responded to Pyre's stormwater comments. I know we just received a second letter today. We haven't had a chance to review that yet, but we'll be getting back comments as soon as possible. I think that's it for me. If you have any comments or questions, we'd be happy to answer them. We also have G&H, the engineers, on the line tonight who can address any of the stormwater related questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's jump over to stormwater then and see what we have there. So we have representative from PAR.
Melissa, may I interrupt really
oh.
quickly for a question for Judy or Anna?
Sure.
I can't seem to find in our documents the plan that we're looking at right now. Could they help me? What file is it under? What PDF is that so that I could pull it up on my iPad and take a closer look?
Yeah, I'm just looking it up for you right now.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to slow things down, everybody.
No, it's okay.
It would be site plan revision dated September 9th. So it's, I'll show you on my Google Drive what it looks like. This guy right here.
Okay, thank you. I was looking at a September 16th dated plan. All right, September 9th. Thank you. Sorry to slow things down.
Yeah, I think those are the stormwater plans, the 16th.
Okay.
Okay. So jumping to stormwater, Bobby, you're here.
Yes. Good
Welcome.
evening.
Good
Thank you.
evening. Do you want
Yeah.
to kind of give a high level on what's outstanding from the comment letter that you provided today?
Sure.
yesterday?
Sure. So my name's Bob Sykes. I'm an engineer with Park Corporation, the town's peer review consultant for the stormwater management design for the application. So yeah, we reviewed the initial documents received on, and they were dated June 17th, 2025. And we reviewed the plans and drainage report. I think we had 13 original comments relative to the documents, and our comment letter dated August 12th. So the applicant submitted partially revised documents on September 9th with an interim response to comments, and additional revisions were received on September 17th and 18th with a complete response to comments, with several responses indicating that the comments were requested to be discussed with PAR and the commission at this hearing. So we identified through our review of the response to comments that about 8 comments appeared to require some additional action. So happy to share my screen and we can go over those comments now, or we can go over the comment letter in its entirety, whatever's preferable to the commission.
Sure, that's fine, Judy, if you want to give him the screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Which screen do you see? Do
we
you
see
see
the
the comment?
response letter.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, thank
or
you.
the comment letter.
Sure. So, I mean, would you like me to go through all the comments in PAR's memo or just the comments that require some additional action?
I think just the ones that we need additional action and discussion on.
Sure. So, I mean, there was several parts to this comment, and the applicant had indicated that they were going to revise. There's a perimeter infiltration trench proposed around this site that receives mostly pervious cover. But they had indicated that they would provide an updated response after further discussions with the peer reviewer and commission. So I don't know if there's any representative that'd like to go over some of the comments that we had relative to some of the setbacks and other requirements for pretreatment associated with infiltration practices.
Sure. John Federico with Guerrier and Hellman, site engineers. So with regards to this area, essentially we will really only be having a grassed area that eventually over time with some of the restoration plantings, just things kind of naturally overgrowing. This whole area is at some point going to be restored to some type of woods. Based on existing conditions though, going from woods to a grass, the change in CM number is just driving this very small watershed we have to be higher in our post-development conditions. So really this trench is primarily just there to help attenuate some of that water, slow it down a little bit. If there is infiltration capabilities, then that will at least get in additional groundwater recharge outside of the main portion of our system. But some of the requirements, like doing the test pits across the whole entire 500 and approximately 20-foot length, potentially providing some of the groundwater separation there. We think, at least in terms of the intentions of what this is, just to hold back and accommodate for some of the lack of, I guess, vegetation out there, like more substantial trees and things, that we're not sure if infiltration trench is going to be the most appropriate term there. But with the fact that we are up against the no disturb buffer, with the grading slopes that we need out there, and not being able to kind of have a attenuation swale or anything along those lines, not sure if the commission is amenable to this type of request for essentially just a couple of tenths of CSF here, or if that's something that if we were to submit a report that just showed this one watershed, again, just a landscaped essentially watershed, there is no impervious area associated with it. If showing that as an increase is something that would be acceptable under your stormwater bylaws.
Yeah, I sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I agree with the applicant saying. I just want to just point out that it doesn't meet some of the requirements if it is going to be identified as a infiltration practice. Wouldn't meet the potentially the groundwater separation, the offsets to the septic and so on.
So we have revised it, at least with the September 16th plan, and the details will refer to it as such, as like an underground, we can call it like a subsurface trench if that's a little bit more applicable to get around, I guess, the technicality of calling it an infiltration trench. We would be intending it to essentially be grassed above it, for at least a minimum of 6 inches. That stone that would be in there would be wrapped in filter fabric. So we're not intending to have anything really migrate into it. It's just more to kind of help add extra drainage out there versus just letting everything just rip right off into the no disturb buffer. So if that is something that is amenable, we'll obviously make final updates accordingly for that.
Yeah, it's somewhat of a formality. But I think the commission should be aware that it'd be difficult that there is no opportunity for pretreatment. It'd be difficult to access and maintain this in the future. So just to be aware of that, yes.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense to reclassify it. So there's no confusion with O&M later or something like that. Matt Moyen, do you have any comments, or anyone else on the commission?
No, I agree. Reclassifying it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what's next?
We had a question relative to there's a 6-inch overflow from the underground infiltration system. Just clarity as to where that discharges and how it functions. There was a response that that it was revised and added to the sheet, but I think it's still difficult for us to interpret where it discharges. And then also we had a question relative to constructability, just with the elevations and the rim elevation of the structure that it's discharging out of. So
understood from that. So as far as that goes, I did make a revision there, and I did catch that the structure height was still a little bit short there. So we will be picking that up. It still will blend in naturally with the grading that we're going to have out there. The 400 elevation would still work with the existing grade that we are proposing. And then essentially, it's not going to be a concrete stormwater structure. We're intending this to be essentially like similar to like a plastic yard drain. It would be essentially a 3-foot CMP, an HDPE pipe that would be there with essentially like a screw-on lid. So we're not necessarily anticipating to have like a 6-inch top slab or anything that we would be conflicting with. And if the language is a little confusing, we can recall this like a 6-inch, essentially like a notch, or I can define it as like a 6-inch by 6-inch cutout versus like an actual pipe elevation or pipe culvert, if that helps clarify anything on that end for it. I will have essentially like a little outlet control structure detail that will be updated for you to kind of further clarify that.
Yeah, I think the detail will clarify.
Perfect.
Should be sufficient. Thank you. Yeah, so we had a question relative to the detail of the infiltration trench. I think it was indicated in response that there was additional details added to the construction details. Those were not provided to us, or we didn't see it in the plans that were provided to us. So, any detail relative to the section and construction methods for that infiltration trench would be requested.
I'll definitely make sure I'll double check that plan set. I apologies if I sent out the wrong detail sheet there. But anything new sent out will also include the reclassified trench that we just discussed. So all that will be properly addressed on it.
Okay, and similar to this next comment too, some of these other, the inlet curb detail, frame grate, typical trench details, so on. So,
yep, I have added those in as our own details, but I am going to be including the specific town PDFs as well, just so to further clarifying the issue.
And if anybody from the commission has any questions, please feel free to chime in. Thank you. On the drainage report, so this was an accepted comment, but we just want to make the commission aware special permits required for the project being located within the Water Resource Protection Overlay District and proposing more than 2,500 square feet of impervious area. And then also the applicant had added an ADS Barracuda stormwater structure in lieu of an oil grease or a sediment trap. So we accepted that comment, or the response to that comment. Special permit will be required.
Okay. Yeah, I believe in Judy, it's written into any orders that we issue that all other permits in town have to be satisfied for ours to be valid. Yeah.
And we are intending to go in front of planning board. We just wanted to make sure we had a majority of the conservation comments addressed before officially making that filing. So anything special permit related, we'll get over to the appropriate board.
Okay, great.
This was just, I think there was some utility information missing from the operation and maintenance plan. So if the utilities can just get added to that operation and maintenance plan.
Understood. My apologies. I misinterpreted your comment. When I was thinking utilities, I thought only stormwater utilities for the operation and maintenance. I'll definitely make sure we do add in the water and gas, electric, and
septic. Thank you. Seeding dates. So there's obviously several parts to this comment here relative to the erosion sediment control plan. I think the only thing that was missed was the seeding dates. So if you can just update the plan to include the seeding dates.
Just to clarify that comment, are you looking for like a specific date or like a seasonal type of date to be included? Like
Yes.
Fall of 2025 or spring of 2026?
No, time of year.
Okay.
For seeding dates, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, this is relative to the infiltration trench being revised to the subsurface trench, and I think I think changing the terminology will satisfy this. But there would be some maintenance requirements or O&M requirements relative to an infiltration practice. So if that was to remain as an infiltration practice, we'd suggest that there be some requirements outlined within the O&M relative to it. So, but
We'll make sure we adjust accordingly.
Okay, thank you. And then the watershed plan. So the hydrologic calcs and the watershed plan show areas downstream of the infiltration trench contributing to the infiltration trench. So just that should be revised accordingly. Those areas downstream should discharge directly to your design point.
Sure. No problem.
Okay. I think that's everything within our comment letter that we feel requires some additional action, but I'm
Okay.
happy to answer any questions from the commission.
No, thank you for that thorough review and the reporting. This is good. My commission members are loving this stormwater discussion, some of us more than others. But we appreciate the thorough review.
Of course. Thank you.
That being said, and it sounds like all those comments can be addressed. I want to jump over to Joe from Lucas Dorzo. In regards to responses to his comments, I know we talked about, there was mention of the invasive species plan that came in, the tree removal plan. Joe, do you want to go over any other outstanding comments? Those are things that were.
Yeah, I think the majority of our initial comments have been addressed, and actually I apologize for not having submitted a formal response. I was under the impression that we were still waiting for a formal reply to our comments that we normally receive on a project with scope, and didn't fully realize that we had received a lot of supplemental information that addressed many of our comments until I was preparing for the hearing this afternoon. And I have had a chance to look through the supplemental information, and I feel that the vast majority of our comments were addressed. A couple of remaining questions, and they may be in the information that was submitted, and I just haven't seen it, but with regard to table 1 that was provided in the initial notice of intent narrative, the table shows that there's some off-site disturbance being proposed, about 425 square feet of off-site disturbance within the buffer zone. We just want to verify that the owner of that property has been identified and is in approval with any of the work that is occurring on that property. It may be the same owner, but just want to verify that. See. I just had a question on the electrical utilities. Was unclear initially if those are being proposed above ground or underground. Just looking for clarification on that. And on the snow storage areas, I didn't see where those are proposed on the revised plans, and they may be on there. Was just wondering if those areas encroach into the no-build zone. Was wondering if there was any options. Initially, at least on the plan, they showed them in the no-build zone. I didn't know if there were any options of possibly moving those outside that area, or due to grades and drainage concerns, it may be necessary to put them there, but just wanted to raise that question. I think really the remaining points that I had noted in our first review memo have been addressed.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. And I know that, I mean, they have some work to do just to wrap up that stormwater soon. We'll give you have more time to check through that new material, so that's good. I did see we have the cumulative impacts for the whole property, which we talked about last time, and the PIBs are moved closer to the curb line. Which is something we talked about last time as well, so that's appreciated. Does anyone on the commission have any questions?
This is Ed, through the
Yes,
chair.
Ed.
Knowing that there's areas in the neighborhood that are very wet, I'm wondering if Joe or any of your other consultants can comment how this might impact additional water flow into the area and in what direction that it goes. I ask this because I know that the trap and skeet fields of Hopkins Sportsman's Club, of which I'm a member, get pretty wet. And I'm wondering if any of this is going to augment the water that might head in that direction, or if it goes the other way. Thank
you. This is Joe. I think I'd leave that to the stormwater review. I haven't looked at that aspect in detail.
John Federico with Gurrier and Halmon. Just to clarify a couple of those questions. The utilities right now are proposed to be underground utilities. Site will be serviced by sewer, by septic, excuse me. And then we are proposing underground water, gas, and electric to a small utility room located on the backside of the building. With regards to stormwater flows, right now existing site conditions essentially has a high point that is roughly located in the back parking portion. If you were looking at the plan up on the screen in front of us right now, essentially that is graded to flow in all directions towards the wetlands as well as towards Lumber Street. For our proposed condition, all of that pavement area, roof runoff is intended to be captured and directed towards Lumber Street, where we have a double grate catch basin. Anything picked up by the double grate will go into our infiltration system, and the the outfall of that will be occurring essentially towards the front of the site, where the two manholes are shown just outside of the no build and no disturb buffer lines. There's, I believe, a 60.7 dimension that's going right over them. So that is where the ultimate outfall will be, and grades out there will essentially send water towards the rear portion of the site, based on our observations of contours and conditions out there.
If I may also address Joe's other question about who owns the area where the proposed sidewalk will be placed. It's owned by the town, and the sidewalk was a request of the planning board when this project was going through it. So they're aware of it going in there, and it's on town property adjacent to the road.
Okay. Thank you both. Ed, did that answer your question? It might help to bring up the grading and drainage plan. Judy, are you controlling the screen?
Yep.
Okay. If you go.
And to answer the question, Melissa, I'm not sure. I realize that the property owner is also the abutting property owner, and there's still another parcel potentially in the way, but the abutter, the same owner abuts the Hopkinton Sportsman's Club parcel. So if there's a way that water is going to be increased in its flow in a southerly direction, it's going to impact the Hopkinton Sportsman's Club. And as someone who's seen the impact of how water flows get changed because of development, I'm a little extra cautious. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the outfall you're describing, John, is on the is that on the southerly side? I don't see a clear.
Yes, essentially right now, where the cursor is for the computer, there's a looks like a 62.2 foot dimension, and that is to the outfall structure of the underground infiltration. Only during the 100-year storm will we have discharge from this. Under the 2, 10, and 25-year storms, we have full infiltration that's able to occur on the site.
Any other questions while we have all the design team on the line here? Anyone from the audience? Okay. Hearing none, I think we'll go ahead and continue this out if I can get a motion to that effect. The next meeting is October 7th. Will that give you all time to address the stormwater comments, and Joe or Zell for you to review information and get it back to Tom?
From the stormwater side of things, John Federico at G&H, we'll be able to have that addressed for the October 7th meeting.
Okay.
And Lucas Environmental will be able to finalize our review memo.
Okay. All right, then can I get a motion to continue this out to October 7th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All right, all in favor, Ed,
aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I am also an aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us through our continued hearings, I believe. Yep. So we'll jump back down to work session. And we have 100 Ash Street, a violation discussion for a shed. Judy, I think I'm gonna ask you to give a little background on this.
Sure, through the chair. So we received a complaint about a shed installed in buffer zone 2 wetlands earlier this year. It appears to be approximately 30 to 50 feet from the wetlands per a 1994 delineation. So, might not be super accurate today, but it's all we have for the property. So roughly in this location at 100 Ash Street. The shed appears to have been built within the tree line, so we're not sure if trees were removed to install the shed. And there does appear to be a gravel path leading to the shed coming off the driveway and running behind the house. The homeowner has not provided the exact location of the shed or any details about how it was installed, so whether trees were removed, what the footings are, that sort of thing. But did provide a response letter, which is saved in the public folder for folks to access, where he touches on prior use of the area in question as kind of storage, as well as concerns about runoff coming from Ash Street. So I guess I'm happy to show pictures, but looking for guidance from the commission on any desired next steps in terms of enforcement or requesting documentation from the homeowner. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to put up a picture of the shed, that might probably be helpful. Okay. And I think just for the benefit of the commission, because I get copied on more emails than others, I think you've done or our staff has done already kind of a preliminary reach out to the homeowner, requested more information on the shed. That's already been done at this point in time, right, Judy? So I don't think asking is necessarily going to get us additional information, informally asking, because we've already gone down that road, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Do we have the homeowner on the call by chance? If you are here, please let us know.
Flipping through who's left with us, I didn't see anybody that looked like a homeowner for this one.
Okay. All right, so it seems like at this point, in order to get information and work with this homeowner, we probably need to put together a violation notice to officially put them on notice for the shed being built in the buffer zone without permission, and requesting any additional information we need as a commission to kind of help them or guide them as to what type of approval process we might need to go through, or whether the shed needs to be removed, whether it could be something that's an RDA or an exemption, or, because we really don't have information on the shed itself. So my first thought is to put together a violation notice documenting, what we'd be looking for. Asking them about whether trees were taken down, if there were, how many, maybe what the previous condition of the area was, if it was lawn, if it was woods, obviously if there were trees. Since we do have that plan, this property came in front of us a year or two ago, I think, when the house was being flipped and they paved the driveway. It was gravel. So maybe sketch on one of those plans, tape off from the house or whatever the dimensions of the shed on the plan. Just provide them with some direction on what type of information that we need and a date for them to come and talk to the commission. I think that's what we've done in the past in these type of situations. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts, discussion points on this.
Melissa?
Yes, Ted.
I believe if the homeowner were here, based on the letter that we have in our documents, the homeowner would suggest that there was a shed there before, that there's always been a shed. What I would point out is, okay, but when we have someone wanting to rebuild a house, they need to ask for, they need to come to us with those applications. If someone wants to rebuild a shed that's within our jurisdiction, they need to come to us. The mere existence, if there was a shed there before, the mere existence of that does not then permit replacing the shed without coming before us if it's within our jurisdiction. So I would just point that out if the homeowner is listening at home or is going to watch on HCAM later.
Right. And Judy, the plan that you had up there, the previous plan, did not show this shed on it.
No.
And I'm guessing when it did come in front of us a year and a half, whatever it was, 2 years ago, there was no mention of this shed. We probably would have talked about that if it existed at that point in time, I think.
Yeah, I didn't see it in any of the pictures taken at that time.
Okay. So we can, this is something we can put in the violation notice and request information on if they installed this shed or not, but I'm thinking this is something new. Since we didn't necessarily pick up, but we could have missed it last time too. I don't know. Does anyone else on the commission have any questions or thoughts on this before I open it up to the public?
Melissa, can I just confirm something?
Sure.
Did you want me to draft an enforcement order or a violation notice? Violation notice technically would be more of another informal letter, whereas an enforcement order would have legal requirements to act on the items required.
I think this should probably be an enforcement letter. I'm interested if anyone has any other thoughts, but I think if we are, I would say if we're specifically requesting them to come back to us at a given date, I'd say probably the October 21st meeting, just to give some time to collect that information. It would need to be an enforcement letter.
Okay.
Because we're looking for action of, to kind of get this into a process here rather than just a dumping incident or a mowing incident or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, just process wise, if you would like me to write up an enforcement order, we can either have you all vote on it at the next meeting and at that point issue it, or should be able to vote on it tonight with the conditions and information you mentioned, with signatures, and I can get it out, this or next week.
Okay.
So whichever you prefer, if you'd like to see it first, or if you're, comfortable with those details you mentioned and anything else other commissioners want.
I think I'm comfortable with you drafting. Does anyone have any other information they can think of that we would want to know for Judy to draft into a letter.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ted.
I can't think of anything else. I wonder if maybe before we kind of say, so there's your assignment, Judy, if we should hear from the public, because maybe another issue or two will come up that we're not thinking about.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, Ted. Does anyone from the public have any questions or comments on this discussion? If you just, I think we do have someone there, but muted.
Okay, can you all hear me? This is Leanne Latavas West. I live at 48 Blueberry. My neighbor is 100 Ash. I'm the one that actually called on the brand new shed.
Okay. Welcome. Thank you.
And it's very frustrating. We've been in this house 15 years, second owner. And I've gone through junkyards. I've gone through previous owners' issues. Now I'm going through, I come home, I go to work. I come home and there's trees coming down. There's sheds being built. I mean, this is insane. And now I got cars to deal with, but that's not your situation. I have to deal with the other town half with that.
Okay. No, we appreciate you bringing it to our attention. We obviously don't have eyes everywhere, so we'll try and have these folks in to talk to us about it and go from there.
Yeah, you guys have been great. I will say one thing, and then you guys can think about this, but the builder, whoever built the house, and I did send the caption to Judy. Judy's been wonderful with me, I have to say. And when he actually put the ad in the paper for this house, he never put that 2.69 acres that house sits on, that it's conservation from a certain point. Okay. He only just put in, oh, a great house, 5-bedroom, 5-bath, whatever. He redid that over and said it sat on 2.69 acres. Well, what about the conservation that we all sit around here off of Blueberry and have been told you can't build in there because it's conservation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of education that people come into town and aren't familiar. And it's unfortunate that I think some realtors don't always either know or do their research or educate their buyers. But yeah, we end up going through a lot of this with closings and house transactions and things like that. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully we can have some discussions and gain some appreciation for the resource areas that we have here. So
yeah, and if you guys need previous pictures, oh, you'll be shocked to see what that land used to look like. It was a full junkyard.
Wow. Well, hopefully this homeowner does better. But it is a new shed you mentioned.
Yes.
It's new.
Yeah, I literally came home the day I went down, the next day I went down to the town hall because I took a picture. I literally came home and I said to my husband, I said, what the heck is that? He said, a shed. They've been building it all day. And literally they were banging nails, putting roofs on. I'm like shaking my head. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. I know there's no way somebody okayed that. I'm like,
yeah. Okay, well, we'll have them in and see if we can chat with them about it. So thanks for being on the call tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think any more thoughts on what we should include in the letter? We good?
I wonder, Melissa, if you could just review, so we could think maybe I can even jot a note or two and see if anything else comes to mind.
So I guess we could ask about the date of installation of the shed with the approximate location sketched on this plan here that we're looking at. maybe we want to say tied off from the house. That might help make it crystal clear what we're looking for. The previous condition of the area where the shed now sits, so whether there were trees taken down, and if so, how many? Uh,
Foundation on gravel, on poured concrete,
Yep,
like kind of plans for the shed, right? The construction plans or instructions if it was a prefab shed.
yep, that's good information. Agreed. Size of the shed, if I didn't say that, if that isn't obvious,
Mhm.
catching it on, but dimensions. Dimensions of materials. That's what I have in my list.
If it occurs to me, since we don't have a plan that shows the shed, if there was any paving to get access to the newly built shed, that would be part of a plan as well. If it's simply grass or whatever the yard was, then fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know there was some gravel put in, so if you'd like extent of gravel or anything like that.
Yeah, you can put that on there. And you could, I mean, I suppose you could put a catch-all if there were any other changes to the property. I mean, this is good. We have this plan right here. So if there's any, anything that's been changed since this plan. Obviously, we know that the gravel drive is paved now, so we approve that. And then, yeah, the date, the meeting, October 21st. I mean, I think that gives enough time. We're not asking for a survey or wetland delineation or anything like that.
And maybe have materials sent like a week in advance for
Yep.
time for review.
Right.
Those items look good to me. I can't think of anything else to ask for.
Okay.
I don't know if any other commission members can.
I think that'll at least give us enough information to talk with them about what type of filing would be needed. We might, yeah, if you want to put a caveat in there, Judy, that we might need additional information, once that's provided. It's not necessarily the end of our list. If once we get that information, we might need more, but okay. I think that's it.
Yeah, so we just need a vote to have me issue an enforcement order with that language with signatures.
The signatures. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion then.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second. I'll second.
All in favor, Ed?
Country area.
All in favor, Ed?
Aye.
Ted?
That is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I am also an aye. All right. I think that's anything else, Judy?
Nope, that's it. Just a reminder, we have the cleanup this Saturday, so if folks want more information, I think I sent out the sign up link earlier this week.
Yep.
Should be fun. Hope there's enough trash. Hopkinton's a very clean town.
That's a funny hope.
Yeah.
Hope there's enough trash.
You gotta look far off the road to find it.
I would contest that assessment.
This time of year, it's tough with all the leaf cover to find that stuff. I feel like the spring is when it.
I can tell you that Wood Street, as you get closer and closer to Westboro, has more and more trash. Although I will say Harvey's was out today picking up, but I only saw them on the Westboro side of the town line. I didn't see them on the Hopkinton side.
They've been reluctant to come to the Hopkinton side lately. There is plenty of trash along Wood Street on the Hopkinton side of the bike.
There sure is.
All right. We're still trying to recruit new members, so keep getting the word out.
Yeah, and I have done that. I think I've reported to Carrie or Melissa that the party's interested but is tied up with Chuck Joseph's Hopkinton History Talk through the end of the month. So that's all I can tell you at this point.
Okay. Yep, just keep talking it up. And I did tell Judy I'm gonna try and go to the Lake Maspinock Weed meeting on October 2nd. At least so we have somebody there.
Awesome, thank you.
They seem pretty active right now with all their education campaign for September, so that's good. Good to see. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second.
All in favor, Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.
Bye.